Coming up on WMLT News, a new challenge has been sweeping the nation.
Plus, a Dollar General is coming to Athens. All of this and more starts right now.
Hello and welcome to WMLT News. I'm Dalton Boggs.
And I'm Rachel Dotson. Hundreds of people have died as a result of the worst of the Ebola virus outbreak spreading through West Africa. Ebola is a virus that causes hemorrhagic fever with flu-like symptoms, which can appear 2 to 21 days after infection. Ebola can only be transmitted by bodily fluids from the infected. There are no specific treatments for the virus. Patients are isolated and supported by healthcare providers who are required to wear gloves and medical masks. However, the prevention measures set for the medical providers in West Africa will do nothing to stop the outbreak of the virus if they cannot contain the break-ins to the medical clinics where the sick are being housed. A few weeks ago, the facility holding the Ebola patients were raided, forcing 20 patients into hiding and losing several stolen mattresses and sheets that can transmit the virus. 2 American missionaries who were in West Africa during the outbreak had been brought back home to a hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. They are given an experimental drug that was designed to combat the virus and seem to be on the road to recovery.
Tension has been high in Ferguson, Missouri after 18-year-old Michael Brown was shot and killed by a police officer after a robbery on August 9th. Brown, who was unarmed at the time of the shooting, was shot 6 times. Although other circumstances related to the violence has been released, Ferguson has been chaotic between raiding, looting, and other forms of violence that has taken place in the streets. There are also reports of people gathering outside the police station demanding justice for Brown. While things have calmed down significantly, the Ferguson locals still chants, "No justice, no peace."
President Barack Obama has recently approved surveillance flights to monitor the Islamic State of Israel and Syria. The United States has not made any public decision to expand its air offense against ISIS, also known by the acronym ISIL. The president has said, quote, "For military action in Iraq has to be part of a broader strategy to protect our people and support our partners to take the fight to ISIL," end quote. However, the president also cautioned that, quote, "We have to use the power wisely," end quote. American jets and drones have helped to deter and roll back some of the territorial gains won by the Islamic militias. Obama warned ISIS that the killers of the American journalist James Foley would be hunted down and punished. Foley, who was killed in alleged retaliation for the American air campaign after a $100 million ransom was refused, was beheaded on video. The president made it clear that the United States cannot take on ISIS alone and needs the backup of its allies to successfully defeat ISIS.
Last Tuesday saw the first presidential meeting of Ukraine and Russia in almost 2 months in Belarus. Despite the mounting pro-Russia insurrection that has claimed over 2,000 lives this year, Russian President Putin focused on trade talks. However, Putin did not make it quite clear that he would immediately scrap any and all trade preferences that Russia has should the Ukraine president follow through with plans for closer relations with the European Union. The open roundtable discussion was followed by a private meeting and even a one-on-one talk, of which no details were released. Belarus's president, who hosted the discussions at Minsk, called the meeting itself, quote, "a step in the only proper direction," end quote. Many of those in attendance hope that this step will be the first of many to end the largest East-West conflict war since the Cold War.
San Francisco Bay Area residents who were shaken by Sunday morning's South Napa earthquake haven't been given much of a chance to settle down. Based on United States Geological Survey measurements of seismic activity in the area, in the first 24 hours of following the 3:20 a.m. earthquake Sunday, the United States Geological Survey recorded 1 to 4 minor quakes in the area. Reports of CBS, as of Tuesday morning, a total of 140 smaller earthquakes were measured. The seismic activity is clustered around the epicenter and to the north near the geysers, a region known for regular ground shaking. The largest of the tremors was a 3.6 magnitude, felt just hours after the initial earthquake. Many of the smaller quakes likely weren't felt by anyone, some measuring less than a full magnitude point, while damage from the big earthquake is still being assessed. Some estimate put the economic loss at $1 billion.
Stay tuned. There will be more WMLT after the break.
Welcome back. The chemical spill that occurred on January 9, 2014 in Kanawha County, West Virginia, along the Elk River is now a class action lawsuit. The lawsuit is against Freedom Industries Incorporated and West Virginia American Water Company. The chemical that was spilled was metolexam or menthol or MSHM, which is dangerous if swallowed. The two companies had allegedly known about the spill as soon as it reported, but failed to release this information to the public. This, in return, potentially endangered all the residents of Kanawha County and anyone who received the water from the plant.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin was recently sued by his brother over a loan deal that was used to keep a family business open several decades ago. John Manchin filed a civil complaint at West Virginia County Circuit against brothers Joe and Rock Manchin. The feud comes from an almost $2 million loan that was aimed to keep a family carpet business afloat over 20 years ago. A promise of repayment was involved with the loan, but was never repaid, according to the Wall Street Journal. John Manchin is claiming breach of contract, fraud, and civil conspiracy in the complaint. The lawsuit also states that the brothers' general partnership was removed without John Manchin's knowledge. Neither Rock or Joe Manchin has commented on the situation.
In Mercer County, West Virginia, former Pikeview High School teacher and coach Jonathan Kirk was sentenced. Kirk pled guilty to sexual misconduct with underage female students, was sentenced on Monday, August 25th. Kirk went before Judge William Sadler in Mercer County. He was sentenced to between 30 and 40 years in prison, but will be up for parole in 15 years. Kirk made a statement before the sentencing, apologizing for all the pain he has caused. After a lot of controversy, the town of Athens may be seeing its first new business after 20 years. WMLT's Jesse Stevens has more.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm here in Athens, West Virginia, just a stone's throw from Concord University, at the future home of a new grocery store.
Last year, Athens residents were faced with a town crisis when the Dollar General chain sought to build a new store in the tiny West Virginia town. Citizens of Athens were mostly concerned that the store would disturb their way of life because it was being built so close to residential property. However, after months of struggle and a small amount of demolition of housing, the crisis was resolved. Dollar General will most likely begin construction within the year. Overall, the community has accepted the new business, but students of Concord University are very anxious for the addition.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I can really appreciate that they're bringing more of a variety to the community of Concord and Athens. I wish they would have brought in a larger retail store, though.
Because Dollar General is the first new business Athens has seen in almost 2 decades, a larger store may be years away. However, when the town is ready, students have already decided what they want to see.
Yeah, I would like to also see sit-down restaurants in this area. That would be exciting.
For WMLT, I'm Jesse Stevens.
Now with sports, here's Brady Meadows.
The Major League Baseball playoff race is in full swing as we enter the last month of the season. In the American League, the Orioles lead the East by 7 games, the Royals lead the Central by 1.5, and the A's and Angels are tied in the West. In National League news, the Nationals lead the East by 7.5 games, the Brewers lead the Central by 1.5, and the Dodgers lead the West by 4. The Mariners and Giants both have a half-game lead in the wild card.
It's still only the preseason in the NFL, but we still have a first look at the power rankings. The top 10 teams are the Seahawks 1, the Patriots 2, the Broncos 3, the Saints 4, 49ers 5, the Packers 6, the Colts 7, the Eagles 8, the Bears 9, and the Ravens 10. Here at Concord University, our football team was voted to finish second in the Mountain East Conference in the latest coaches poll. For WMLT Sports, I'm Brady Meadows.
And I'm Brad Sullivan.
Concord recently held the first of its annual Media Appreciation Day. The press had an opportunity to meet and see a wide array of the Campus Beautiful's many faculty and staff, including the Presidential Cabinet, Concord Police Chief, and athletic coaches, as well as the head of all 6 of the major division. In attendance were many different media outlets, including WVNS, Metro News, and even Concord's own student-run newspaper, the Concordian. The media was given a chance to not only hear upcoming events and story ideas, but they were also given the chance to ask questions and even participate in a one-on-one and session with the Presidential Cabinet. And now with this week's Take It or Leave It, here's Jesse Stevens.
Thanks, Dalton. If you're any kind of movie fan, you were probably thrilled when you heard that Godzilla was returning to the silver screen. And if you're like me, you probably didn't mind dropping $11 on a ticket the first chance you got. But I would be willing to bet that you were also disappointed with what you saw. Last May, the iconic monster of the 20th century traveled across the ocean to terrorize the United States. The movie industry spared no expense in building hype before the release. But when the invasion began on May 16, 2014, audiences were confused, to say the least. Every Godzilla preview prepared the world for an epic thriller, but the thrill was lost in the previews. Throughout the film, there are multiple monster fights, which is exciting, but each one is cut short for dramatic effect. And this tactic was cool in the beginning, but it quickly got old. Thanks to the dry action and the cheated battle scenes, Godzilla wasn't exactly a thrill ride. Even though the film is a bit of a letdown, the characters do their best to bring it back to life. The movie features stellar performances from a variety of actors, including Bryan Cranston, Elizabeth Olsen, and Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's only thanks to these hard-working actors that the movie isn't a complete flop. Godzilla earns 2.5 stubs out of 5. If you're truly enthralled, it may be worth a trip to the Red Box, but don't get overly excited. And that's it for this week's Take It or Leave It. Thanks for watching.
As social media becomes a bigger part of our everyday lives, we begin to pick up on little annoyances. More so, we sent our man on campus to find out what is your biggest social media pet peeve.
A new trend has been sweeping campuses and homes across the nation. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge has raised over $88.5 million as millions of Americans dump freezing water over their heads and donate $10 to the foundation. Many celebrities have participated in the event, including Matt Lauer from The Today Show, Lindsay Lohan, and former President George W. Bush. Even some of Concord's own students have participated to raise money for the disease, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and the spinal cord. There is still no known cure. However, with the money from the Frozen Challenge, there may be a new breakthroughs in the research.
That's it for WLT News this week. I'm Rachel Dotson.
And I'm Dalton Boggs. We'll be back next week.